Hi, my name's Jasmine Penter. I'm a counselor and life coach at Ignite with my master's in social work. This week I'm going to be covering grief and loss. Somebody had asked if I would cover this topic because a friend of theirs had died of cancer. And last week, with the loss of the actor Robin Williams, I thought about this some more. And actually, this past weekend, I had a client of mine lose a family dog who'd been in their lives for 12 years. With any type of loss due to death, there's extreme or some level of grief, and this can differ from person to person. The experience of death can be different, both for death that is foreseen, where you know a terminal illness for some time, and a sudden death like Robin Williams, where there's quite a deal of shock that goes along with this um, kind of a traumatic event. Feelings you might have are sadness, overwhelm, anger, resentment, confusion, as far as the circumstances around what happened, why this might have happened, how you integrate this meaning of this death into your life. That can be confusing or take time. You can feel helpless, hopeless, depressed, guilt. Maybe you could have done more, said more, um, been more present, um, maybe appreciated the person a little more or spent more time. Um, Resentment, as far as maybe how things happened, um, what's left over as far as your responsibilities, what you have to take care of since this death. You can also have a sense of relief. Maybe this person had lived with an amount of pain for a long time, and that suffering is now no longer part of your lives. And you may also feel extreme gratitude just for the life that was lived and shared with you, for those that are supporting you after this death, and for the life and health that you have. Um, you can feel any numerous amounts of these feelings, all of them, parts of them, and they kind of come and go over time. Sometimes very intensely, as if the death had just happened, and sometimes maybe the death may seem farther away, and while you'll still have sadness or times where you're remembering what happened, it can feel a little more removed. Um, Some may take solace in being around others, sharing memories, and others can find healing with solitude. Perhaps going to the uh, woods, the beach, doing something that is something that you might have done with this person. Um, any of these things can feel comforting and may be a part of your grief process. So there are stages of grief. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is one that had um, organized these and has written a whole lot about them, as have numerous other grief experts. She talked about denial and isolation, anger, bargaining, depression, and then finally acceptance. The big thing that's come out, I don't know how big you want to call this, but the, I guess, the discussion around this is that how she presented them were they were stages. You started with number one, denial and isolation, and then once you resolved that, you went to number two, anger. What others have talked about since then is that they're not necessarily stages that you go through sequentially and then come out with acceptance and then you're done, but more of cyclically. So you may feel isolated for a while, you may get depressed for a while, anger might come back up. You might have moments where you kind of accept it and come to terms with it, and then something else comes up. Perhaps another death that kind of triggers um, this previous death, and so you might go back to some of that sadness or anger again. So um, one thing that I think about is that this death will never leave you. It will always be a part of your life, and there will always be some feelings of sadness and loss for yourself. And I don't think it's ever totally resolved, um, because you'll always miss that person. And I think some of the pain um, definitely lessens over time, but I know people that still grieve their parents or siblings or loved ones for um, really deeply and quite often, or yearly, or every 5 years, or it was just something that it can come up as if it had just happened again. So I, while I really like Elizabeth's stages of grief, I just um, hesitate to say these are the only stages and that they go from one to another. I think they're a part of the process, and you may go through them throughout the rest of your life. So I have a bunch of tips, I think something like 10 here to cover today. Things that I find can be helpful when you're considering having experienced death. So the first I suggest is keeping things simple. So eliminate unnecessary stress in your life. Allow yourself time to take care of yourself and communicate your intentions to those around you. So if you're, kind of heading back to work somewhat, but you're on a maybe part-time schedule, let them know what your schedule is. Let them know how much you can put in, and but also what you need, stay present with what you need to keep doing in order to um, process this new life that you have without this person. And as far as keeping things simple, not, obviously there'll probably be some sort of memorial or celebration of life or something. And it may happen right after the death, and it may happen some weeks or months after. Sometimes they happen in stages where they have a memorial and then ashes are spread later on with different family members. So um, these things are just good to think about as you create a schedule for yourself. Find a way to honor your loved one. And so that could be anything from planting a tree or flower or bush to writing a poem or song or singing a song, doing something that you would have enjoyed doing with that loved one. Um, Maybe making a memory book or collage or painting something creative, or something that connects you to that person and the memories that you share with them. It can be photos, and it could also just be sharing stories, writing those stories down, which leads to the third one, which is sharing stories about your loved one, taking time to process those memories and feelings around that, what those mean to you and those around you. I mean, sharing stories are really great because often you'll think of other stories, or maybe you remember that event somewhat differently, or you have something to add on to that not everyone knows. And that's another really cool thing, is sometimes even after the person has passed, you feel you get to continue to learn and know them through others. And um, you may have known them for maybe 5-10 years and didn't know them as a younger child, and getting to know how they became who they are with others that care about them is kind of a cool or blessing, something that can create some comfort as you remember them. Create a new tradition. This could be lighting a candle, donating a gift in their honor, getting involved in a project, or, often if they've had an illness, say cancer or um, Parkinson's or something else, and maybe you want to help lobby for more research or funds, or something that helps you feel proactive, kind of in control, allows you to share their story and kind of keep their memory alive. Uh, the fifth tip I talk about is nurturing relationships that are meaningful to you. So often during these times, it kind of really shows you who your friends and family really are in terms of who can be there for you. And taking time to hold on to those that you have can be really important during this time. And you might make more intention to do that because you're not taking time for granted, knowing that you no longer have time with the one that you love. Find ways to share your talents and gifts and time. And so this can be um, in regards to this person, just even for yourself as a way of healing and remembering. Can be donating time as far as community service or to this project that you may have decided to connect with. Be generous with yourself. So give yourself time and you know, don't be too hard on yourself if you're feeling like I should be getting over this and I'm not able to. I feel like I should be able to move on better and I'm not. Maybe those traumatic memories of what had happened before or during death are sticking with you. This would be a good time to think about talking to somebody, whether it's a professional or a spiritual person at a church or faith that you belong to. These are things to consider. Some say time heals, but time changes things, and that's the truth. But perhaps, you know, I can say time just makes things a little more bearable. But I do believe, like I said before, that you'll feel this pain for the rest of your life. And so I don't think that it's about moving on. I think it's just about creating a new way of living without this person. And some people actually still feel very connected to those that they've lost, still have ways they communicate to them, whether it's in prayer or just kind of in their mind, how what they would share, what they would talk about with them, have a strong sense of their presence around them, or feel others in their life have been left to kind of keep connected. So I had a good friend of mine who died of cystic fibrosis, and she had left some messages for me that I passed on to her mom, who I also found out was a social worker, and she and I have stayed pretty close over the years, and I just feel that my friend Angie kind of left us for one another, kind of keeping her memory alive and sharing stories and things we know she would have enjoyed, and just kind of watching out for one another as we live this life without her. Understand that your friends and family will grieve or can grieve very different than you, and there's no real right way. And this can be hard for people and really hard in families when we feel like someone's not taking it as seriously, or someone's out of touch with it, or is kind of very hands off. But just realize that this is hard, and we'll kind of do it differently, but that's okay. And if, as long as you can try to keep communication open with how you're doing, that's the most you can do. When someone dies, it often does trigger the previous losses. So this I talked about before, but just consider counseling or a grief support group, which there are many. And if you need help finding one, please email me at joreganrose@yahoo.com. So what grief support groups can do is add a time that's confidential, but where you share memories and you share hard times and you share tips like I have today about how you've gotten through, or how you've remembered that person, and what's hard and what's not hard, or what's less hard, etc. Um, this really just helps in not keeping you from being isolated, that you're not alone in this. There's so many people that lose um, family and friends every day, and even someone like, or even a loss such as a family pet can be really, really difficult. So don't forget that. I welcome you to like this post or this video and subscribe if you will. I'll keep trying to come up with new topics, and if you have ideas, feel free to comment and give me your ideas, share your thoughts on any of this. I welcome that. And take care. I'll see you next time. Bye.